Hi, Sven here. Recently, I was at the Make conference in Munich, and there I was able to sign up on a list to try out beta features of Make. And now I've gotten access to one of them, namely the Make AI Tools feature. These are various modules that provide certain AI functions, which you could also recreate with ChatGPT. But it's actually pretty cool when they're built right into a system like this. They're already listed here in the documentation, and for the different modules, there are also detailed explanations for each one, and there are a total of 8. I'll be trying out 7 of them. One of them, chunk text, isn't included in my test because all it does is split a text into so-called chunks. So if I want to work with TokenZend, I don't have a specific use case for that right now, but the result is clear. I can see here in the example, there's a text, and then it produces 3 chunks at the end because I specified that I want a chunk size of 50, but I've incorporated all the other functions into a scenario now. The scenario basically looks like this. I am the support for an appliance manufacturer, household appliances, and I receive an email with a complaint. And from this complaint, I then extract various pieces of information. And I can quickly show you the email. It goes to a mail hook. And of course, here it's this strange mail hook address, just like with a webhook. And of course, normally I would set up a forwarding from support to such a mail hook. The advantage of the mail hook is that the email arrives immediately and I don't have to check every 15 minutes to see if something new has come in and also use up operations. So what do I have here? I've written a complaint, refrigerator with a serial number and so on, and it's just not working. And this email we then sent to this scenario. There, through this mail hook, the email is received at this address here. Then I extract the actual text from the email. So I leave out the signature and everything else that's in there. And then let's go through the different modules. Check language, as the name suggests. What language is it? In which language is it written? Then, depending on that, you could, for example, forward it to different recipients. Then what I find really cool is the categorization part. So I enter the text here, and then I can specify different categories into which the text should be sorted. And here I have, for example, complaint, grievance, inquiry, negotiation, feedback. Then you can also say here, give me an explanation for the categorization. Then the sentiment. That's a really cool feature. So what is the sentiment in this text? So especially with a complaint, yeah, it's probably more negative, and positive, neutral, negative are also the possible results here. And then there's also a description provided. Then there's extract information, which I also think is a nice feature. I can use natural language here to specify what should be extracted from this text. And now I've just implemented this example concretely. The type, then you give it a variable name and specify what it is. Text, number or Boolean, then the model number or designation, the described problem, the serial number. Here, you could also easily add things like the purchase date and then determine from that whether there is still a warranty and so on. Then a translation. That's also helpful if, for example, I receive messages in different languages, but maybe have an English-speaking support team, then I can simply forward it to them accordingly. Summarize. If the text is particularly long, it's of course really useful to have a summary. And standardize. Yes, that simply improves the language and grammar. But for me, there's still no clarity about where exactly the guidelines for this standardization come from. And then at the end, I create a Google document. I've also set that up here in HTML format so that it looks nicer and is better formatted. And now I just take all the information that comes out of these modules and insert it into this document. Now let's run the whole thing. Normally this would run continuously. And now let's go ahead and send ourselves this email. Here it comes in. So the content is extracted. Then each module is called It always takes about 2 or 3 seconds. I actually think it's pretty cool that these modules are quite fast. And in the end, the document is written with all the information. But before we take a look at the document, let's go back into the results of the different tools. So extract content, you can see here quite clearly that, for example, the entire footer is included here, and I don't want any of that. What I actually wanted in the result was simply the actual text. And as you can see, it ends with my name. Yes, and then check language. The language is German. By the way, the tokens are always specified here as well, both input and output. That's actually a pretty good reference point. Then the categorization. By the way, that's an array, which means you actually get multiple results here. But here it also says it's a formal complaint. Then the mood negative. The information that's extracted here. The type is refrigerator, the model, the problem, the serial number, the translation, the summary. Well, the email isn't that long, and here is the standardized text. All right, then let's go into the document. So let's take a look at what came out of it. So email from date, time, subject, obviously. These are just extracted pieces of information. The extracted content of the email, okay, you can see it here. This is simply the text without the signature. Analysis. Language is German. Category is complaint. That was the first entry in these categories. Then it's a formal complaint. Broken refrigerator. The categories are listed here again, and it also says here that confirmation is being requested and so on. Yes, and further steps. Then the description. Well, the customer is dissatisfied. The mood is negative with the refrigerator because it just doesn't work properly and they expect a solution. And you can also see that he's kind of frustrated and not very happy with the whole thing. Then these 4 extracted pieces of information and then a summary again. Yeah, the summary reads pretty well, right? He bought the refrigerator, it doesn't work properly, and he's complaining about the defect. ... Yeah, I actually think the summary sounds good. And then at the end, there's an English translation. Okay, so all in all, a pretty nice feature that Make provides us here with the AI tools. As soon as you have access to it, give it a try, maybe use it for cases like this, or maybe you come up with other ideas for how you can use it. Thanks for watching and have fun. See you next time.